Spanish. The architecture of a vast and powerful empire, Spanish colonial style was built to last and to project Catholic authority. This style is characterized by its heavy, thick-walled construction, using local materials like adobe brick and stucco, which provided excellent insulation in hot climates. Key features include red-tiled roofs, arched arcades or covered walkways, and an inward-looking plan centered on a private courtyard or patio. The most famous expressions are the great Baroque cathedrals and fortified missions of the Americas. Portuguese. While sharing features with Spanish colonial, the Portuguese style often has its own distinct and vibrant character. Found in Brazil, Goa, and Macau, it is known for its bright, often pastel-colored facades. A key feature is the extensive use of beautiful, hand-painted ceramic tiles, called azulejos, which were used to decorate both the exteriors and interiors of churches and homes. The style often blends European Baroque forms with local materials and a more flamboyant, tropical sensibility. British. The architecture of the largest empire in history was a masterclass in adaptation. The British imported their domestic styles, but modified them for the local climate. In North America, British colonial architecture ranged from timber and stone houses to increasingly symmetrical Georgian buildings, often in brick in urban centers. In India and other hot climates, the British adapted the bungalow from the Bengali bangla house into a low, wide dwelling with deep verandas, large openings, and high ceilings suited to heat. Later, the British built in grand, eclectic styles like the Indo-Saracenic, which fused Victorian forms with Mughal and Hindu motifs to create an architecture of imperial grandeur. French. The French brought a sense of elegant, urban style to their colonies. In hot climates such as Louisiana, French colonial domestic architecture often used raised floors, broad roofs, galleries or verandas, and tall openings with shutters to improve airflow and cope with heat and flooding. These features were designed to maximize airflow and create shaded outdoor living spaces. In colder parts of New France, especially Quebec, houses commonly used steep roofs and substantial masonry walls suited to winter conditions. Dutch. The architecture of a global trading empire, Dutch colonial style is known for its practicality and its distinctive roof shape. In North America, the most famous feature is the gambrel roof, a roof with two slopes on each side, which created a larger, more usable attic space. In the Caribbean, especially places like Willemstad, Dutch colonial towns adapted Dutch gabled urban forms to local conditions. In Southeast Asia, however, Dutch colonial architecture evolved into more climate-responsive forms, with verandas, galleries, deep overhangs, and other adaptations that went well beyond a simple Amsterdam townhouse transplanted to the tropics. Belgian. The colonial architecture of the Belgian Congo was an architecture of state and corporate power. The style is defined by its use of monumental, often neoclassical or Art Deco forms for its grand administrative buildings, banks, and hotels in cities like Kinshasa and Lubumbashi. These were large, imposing structures, often featuring grand porticos and symmetrical facades, designed to project an image of European authority and permanence in the heart of Africa. Residential buildings were often tropical villas with wide verandas. German. Though Germany's colonial empire was short-lived, it left behind a distinct architectural footprint in places like Namibia, Tanzania, and Qingdao, China. The architecture often echoed Wilhelmina-era German forms, but it was not just a literal copy. In places like Namibia and Qingdao, German colonial buildings ranged from churches and villas to administrative and infrastructural buildings, often modified for local conditions. In Namibia, especially in towns such as Swakopmund and Luderitz, many surviving buildings reflect Wilhelmina-era German colonial architecture. though the local building stock is more varied than just half-timbered houses. In Qingdao, German architects built Bavarian-style villas and Gothic churches, creating a small slice of Germany and Asia. Italian. The architecture of Italy's colonial empire in Libya, Eritrea, and Somalia was a vehicle for its modernist and fascist ideals. In the 1920s and 30s, Italian architects built entire new city districts in a bold, streamlined rationalist and Art Deco style. These were clean, white, geometric buildings, often featuring dramatic curves, projecting balconies, and grand arches. It was an attempt to create a modern, ideal colonial city that would showcase the supposed progressiveness of the fascist regime. Danish. The architecture of Denmark's small but widespread colonial empire is known for its charming and pragmatic blend of Scandinavian and tropical design. In the Caribbean, on islands like St. Croix, the style is defined by its use of bright, pastel-colored stucco, red-tiled roofs, and elegant neoclassical details, often combined with arcaded walkways for shade. In colder climates like Greenland, the style features simple, brightly colored wooden houses with steep roofs, a direct import of Scandinavian vernacular building traditions. Swedish. Sweden's colonial ventures were brief, but left a unique architectural legacy, most famously in the Delaware Valley of North America. The key contribution of the Swedish colonists was not a grand style, but a building technique, the log cabin. They brought their sophisticated tradition of building with horizontally stacked interlocking logs to the New World. This simple, sturdy, and highly effective method for building with the abundant timber of the American frontier was later adopted by other settlers and became an iconic symbol of the American pioneer spirit. Russian. As the Russian Empire expanded across Siberia, the Caucasus, and Central Asia, it built forts, garrison towns, administrative centers, rail infrastructure, and Orthodox churches in a range of imperial styles, often neoclassical or eclectic. In Harbin, which grew out of the Russian-built Chinese Eastern Railway in Manchuria, Russian churches and civic buildings projected Russian influence beyond the empire's core territories. American overseas. While the United States began as a collection of colonies, it also became a colonial power itself. In the Philippines, after taking control from Spain, the Americans introduced their own architectural styles. They built grand neoclassical government buildings as symbols of their authority. More influentially, they introduced the suburban bungalow and the concrete schoolhouse, which were adapted to the tropical climate and became widespread, representing a new, American-influenced way of life. Japanese. During its imperial expansion in the early 20th century, Japan exported its own unique and highly symbolic architectural styles to its colonies in Korea, Taiwan, and Manchuria. Japanese colonial authorities built administrative buildings in several styles, including neoclassical, eclectic, and modernist forms. In some prominent 1930s examples, they used imperial crown style, which combined modern monumental building types with Japanese-style roofs. They also built Shinto shrines in many colonial cities as a way to impose their state religion, and efficient, modern infrastructure like train stations and post offices, all designed to project an image of a powerful and modernizing empire. Thanks for watching. Which colonial architecture style do you think adapted best to its environment? Let me know what you think in the comments. Also, please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.